frontline platform for bold conversations, hard truths, and the voices shaping Nigeria's future. Today, I'm sitting with a man who has never been afraid to speak truth to power, no matter how uncomfortable it is. He's a lawyer, author, and one of Nigeria's most outspoken political commentator, a man who has consistently challenged the foundations of governance, democracy, and justice in Nigeria. From questioning the legitimacy of elections to calling out the political elite, his voice has sparked debates across the nation. And he has returned yet again on the show with me to have a profound conversation on the state of the nation. That's what we're about to have today. Daryl Farotimi, welcome to 60 Minutes with Mr. K.
Thank you very much
brother.
for having me.
Always good to have you. Just before we came on camera, I remember you said that Nigeria is built on what is called a bad idea.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
Do you think we're still along the trajectory of that bad idea?
Systems are built with purposes in mind, and purposes are almost always found on ideas. The idea of Nigeria is a very, very bad idea. The idea that undergirds this country, that informed the design of the entire superstructure of governance, is a very bad idea. Nigeria is not found on the idea of citizenship. It is found on the idea of feudalism, the acceptable non-equality of persons who live within the same geographical space. That is why the law does not rule in Nigeria, because it cannot apply to all equally. That is the bad idea that rules Nigeria and that is ruining it. Nigeria is found on the bad idea of feudalism.
So, how do we correct this bad idea, or is it a case of the nation is doomed for failure? Because some people will call you a messenger of doom if you say we're doomed. Are we doomed?
The one thing about the truth is that it has very little respect for the opinions of those to whom it is delivered. What they do with it is entirely up to them. All I have pointed out is the fact that the way we are, our current trajectories, will not deliver anything positive. That is not a message of doom. It is a message demanding that we find redirection and then correct the error that has been pointed out. The antidote to feudalism is citizenship. If we elect to construct a country found on citizenship, we would have successfully walked away from the madness that has overtaken us. So it's not like we are in a situation where doom is unavoidable. What is making it seemingly unavoidable is the refusal of the Nigerian ruling class to address the problem that has been identified. The belief that they can continue on this unsustainable trajectory and deliver something sustainable. That is why it seems like it's gloom and doom. All Nigeria has to do is yoke the country to the rule of law. If you yoke the country to the rule of law, where the courts become effective, the constitution, as imperfect as it is, begins to reign supreme, we would have begun our journey to sanity. But we cannot continue our current trajectories and then expect that something positive will come out of what is manifestly evil. That is why it might seem like it's gloom and doom. It will be gloom and doom if we do not change our trajectory.
How do we begin to change? Because where we are now, some people said, oh, the economy is better than what it used to be. And I asked them the question, the economy as it relates to the macroeconomics, where some statistics are being said to look good, and some accountants or political economists said the numbers are massaged, but whether it's massaged or not, they still seem good. But that's macroeconomics. The man on the street doesn't do macroeconomics because that's not his business. His only interest. His wife will not die just because of malaria. That's not macroeconomics. That's simple, basic economy. Your thoughts?
I think the greatest error we all make, especially when we are considering Nigeria, is that we assume that the operators of the Nigerian system are unaware of the truth of what they are doing. So we measure what they have done and we say, oh, they failed in this place or they failed in that place. They have not failed. The system is working exactly as it is designed to work. When they point to those figures and they tell you about how well the economy is doing, they are completely correct, because what they want to achieve is exactly what they are achieving: the impoverishment of the Nigerian mass. When a people have been rendered completely impoverished, it becomes easy to be donating rice to them as the cure and elixir for all of their problems. So if the people who talk about insecurity, you give them one bag of rice. They will talk about bad road, you give them one bag of rice. They talk about bad healthcare system, you give them one bag of rice. We talk about all the children who are out of school, you give them another bag of rice. Rice has become the currency and elixir to every Nigerian problem. That is because the system as operated is designed to ensure the full feudalization of the country. And that can only happen when the people are sufficiently impoverished, sufficiently made ignorant. So when you talk about macroeconomics and you then begin to refer to the micro level, where the man on the street, who knows how many meals he's able to afford in a month, who knows that he's living in a place that is unfit for human habitation. A man you are paying, you say it's 70,000 naira, that is your minimum wage. The reality is that if that man ignores to file his tax return, the fine is 100,000 naira. A bag of rice will take away more than half of his salary. So you have deliberately pauperized him. It's not as if you don't know what you're doing. Those are deliberate choices. The same government and country that can afford to keep lawmakers in luxury, governors living like pashas, the same country that can choose to build roads without tenders, that can choose to just throw money around like drunken sailor, is ensuring that the opportunity for the people to enrich themselves have been shut down, and the process of impoverishment has been weaponized for all. So those numbers and the interpretation that persons in government are giving to it, I think we should take it as their own measurement of the economy. And then we should then take the time to be honest enough with ourselves. Are the people truly better off today, or are the people deeper in poverty? Their own figures will suggest we have over 140 million Nigerians living in multi-dimensional poverty, and they are clapping for themselves about a good economy.
Okay, so let me then look at it from this perspective. You have described our elections as a hollow ritual at some point.
Well, and once upon a time, you had the hollow rituals. Now you are not even going to have any hollow rituals. Don't worry.
So it's not going to be. What would we be expecting to have?
What can you possibly expect? What can you possibly expect? The reality is, you and I have sat in this studio, I believe it was over 2 years ago, closer to 3 years ago, and I told you categorically at the time that there will be no election in 2027. And there is nothing that has happened to suggest that I was off tangent. Everything that has happened up until this point, since 2023, confirmed what I told you at that time. And it wasn't like I was gazing at some crystal ball. All I had to do was look at what happened in 2023. Persons who had no business, even in the elections, not just when you focus on the presidency, you lose sight of the emergence of people like Akpabio, who emerged in the Senate in spite of the fact that they were not even qualified to run. They were expressly disqualified by provisions of the Electoral Act. Akpabio, Lawan, but they ended up in the Senate. And the court endorsed it. So you had a situation where our judicial system has become an instrument for working from the question, from the answer to the question. So they do it first, and then they find a way for the judiciary to ratify what is already done. So the judiciary is no longer there to adjudicate based on law and equity. It is there to rationalize what has been done that should never be done. All of a sudden, we don't know the meaning of hand any longer. There are multiple things that have established the complicity of the judiciary in the mess that we found ourselves in. So it's, when you're now talking about election in 2027, you're dealing with a situation where the INEC, the judiciary, everybody is working to ensure seamlessly that there are no viable platforms for anyone to contest elections.
So how do we have a democracy that...
We've never had a democracy. We've only ever had a performative shadow of a democracy. And whatever performative shadows we once had were effectively destroyed in 2023. That was the last pretense at an election.
So you have said the Nigerians are not citizens.
Compliance is a law. But that
And how can you have citizens in a place not ruled by law?
So if we don't have citizens and you don't have democracy, and your view is that there is no election, it used to be hollow, but now there's not even going to be an election. Again, it brings us down to this point where we say, are we in a situation where we're doomed for failure?
No. See, every nation in the world today once found itself pretty much where we are. That was the point where human beings would have to ask themselves if they still retain the capacity to evolve and find solutions to their existential problems. The existential problem of the Nigerian today is the governance system in Nigeria. The idea of feudalism that denies equality and citizenship to the Nigerian and renders it impossible to have a society governed by law. That is the challenge of the Nigerian, whether they are young or old. We must all recognize the fact that the absence of the rule of law has guaranteed that things will remain where it is the whim of men, not the mere whims of puny men who do not even have the imagination to evolve a better country. Those will be what will continue to rule us until we evolve a system that is anchored to the law. Having identified that, we must now ask ourselves, why has it proven so difficult to evolve such a society, and why has this evil endured for as long as it has endured and would appear to have even been strengthened? Reality is that it is our many divisions, our readiness to be divided on the basis of ethnicity, on the basis of religion, on the basis of even sectarian differences within the same religion. Our readiness to be divided by all of those makes it difficult for us to realize the many things that unite us. There is already a commonality of the afflictions. Whatever amount I'm paying for petrol in Lagos is what they will pay in Kaduna. Maybe they will even pay more. In Nnewi, all of us are in the same pot. People are finding reasons to tolerate the evil because they find solidarity with parts of the same class that is afflicting all of us. They will remind us of ethnic differences. But when it comes to that place where you see the beneficiaries, nobody is asking the ethnicity of the next man. If you want to see how laughable it is, look at their City Boy movement. Some of the biggest Igbo boys, they are the prime movers of City Boy movement. And then one idiot, Mukaila in Ajegunle, who has barely had a meal to eat today, will be abusing Chinedu. Chinedu will be abusing Adekunle. But the reality is that when it comes to the beneficiaries, nobody is checking their ethnic identity or their religious identities for that matter. So it is when Nigerians come to the understanding of the fact that they need to find common purpose. If your afflictions are the same, why is it so difficult to find common purpose to resolve the problems? Education is comatose in the north, west, south, east, everywhere. The healthcare system is the same, collapsed. Security is the same, collapsed. There is nothing for the common man, regardless of where he is from. One of the most afflicted parts of Nigeria when it comes to insecurity today is Katsina. That was Buhari's home. Now it's become a wasteland of banditry simply because compromises were made. So the man in Katsina is suffering the same banditry that the man in Kwara, in Ogun State, in even Oyo State, everywhere. We are all suffering from the same things, but we are failing to evolve common solutions to common problems.
Okay, before we wrap up this segment, let me bring this to a point where I'm asking, is our problem a systemic problem or something to do with leadership? Because you said what I've heard consistently from so many other people is that if we have the right leaders, the systems will change, solutions will come. But others are saying if we have a system, whoever emerges as leader, they follow the system. So chicken and egg, help me.
It is the system. It is always the system. If it isn't for the system, how come the good governor is the outlier? You have 36 state governors. The only one we talk about when you want to talk about good governance, we all know who that one is. But the minute he leaves that office, nobody is bound to replicate what he had done. Peter Obi was the measure of good governance. He left more than 10 years ago. He's been, in fact, like 16 years now that he's been out of power. The people who have followed him, have they built on what he did? So you can, by sheer force of your personality, make a difference. But as long as that system that is unmoored to law, that allows the person occupying the office to do as he pleases, as long as that system is sustained, you cannot have good governance. You can have the occasional totem of good governance here, and there are persons who, based on their own conscience, decide to do better. But that is all you have. If they elect not to do the same, if they just want to be like every other person and be swallowing the money and ignoring the people, they will do it and nothing will happen. A place that is unyoked to law, a system that is built with impunity in mind, is not capable of delivering anything sustainable. So it's the system you need to fix. If the system will hold people accountable, if governors know that the people's vote would count and they need to deliver on their campaign promises, they will do better.
Are you advocating rebellion?
I have been advocating a revolution in Nigeria for over 15 years. I'm not talking about a armed insurrection where people are carrying guns, running riot on the street, but it is surely critically clear to every sentient being who can still think that our current trajectories are not sustainable. Definitely not sustainable. But the beneficiaries of this system have equally shown very clearly that they have no interest whatsoever in changing this system because it works for them. But it is also the duty of those for whom the system does not work. It is their duty to look beyond their multiple contrived divisions to find common purpose. If we can find common purpose, how many are the people holding us down? How many are we? If we all spoke to ourselves across the divides and we decided that, okay, let's pass a message to the ruiners of this country. Okay, on Tuesday next week, let everybody sit at home. If you went on the street in protest, NSAS has already shown us what the system is capable of doing. There is no point in being silly and then encouraging people to come to the street when we already know that the system is happy to deploy soldiers, murder however many numbers, and completely deny the existence of such killings. So why would I then encourage anyone to go onto the street? But spend the time to educate yourselves. Look, this is the way this thing is going. It's not sustainable. Let us all agree to send a message to our rulers. On Tuesday, sit down at home. If I'm not on the street, who are you going to shoot? If I'm not burning tires, who are you going to accuse of destroying anything?
But the IPOP tried that.
Let's get something clear.
What is an AI engineer? How do we define it? The way to imagine it, quite simply, is basically that AI engineering is a role between a full stack engineer, so a developer, a software engineer on one end, and then on the other end, there's the researchers building foundational models, building the whole underlying technology of AI. So an AI engineer is not a data scientist, it's not an ML engineer, not a research scientist, it's also not just a simple full stack engineer, not a simple developer. It's someone who bridges the gap, so someone who's really aware about all of the most up-to-date developments in AI, who's capable then to utilize their software development knowledge, experience, to build features, new products even, using all of the technology there in the research side of it. So basically connecting the research with the product side. And there's a couple of citations I'd want to share. So for example, Andrej Karpathy, from one of the co-founders of OpenAI, not currently in OpenAI, but there's a quote by him saying that in numbers, there's probably going to be significantly more AI engineers than there are ML engineers, machine learning engineers. And one can be quite successful in this role without ever training anything. So this highlights two things. It's a really growing role. There's a huge need for it. It's only increasing. And it's not the research role. You don't need to train your own models. You can actually utilize what other researchers are doing to build something really unique and really valuable. And another piece of quote, some details. So PwC did a bit of research, and they say that jobs requiring specialized AI skills are growing at a 3.5x faster rate than any other jobs. So this includes actually both AI engineering and things related to AI engineering, but the underlying idea is it's really becoming very needed. To summarize, what does an AI engineer do? It's a technical role, so they utilize coding to build new features using models, using the research that AI researchers, data scientists develop. And one very important thing is you need, as an AI engineer, to really be on top of what's new in the industry, what's the cutting edge technologies, because only then you can actually build something that's competitive in the market, that's really, really rapidly changing. Who needs AI engineers? Where is this demand coming from? And there's two sides of things. One is that a lot of existing, well-known, established companies want to build features on top of their products with the help of AI, but few of them actually do it well. And there's also a lot of new companies that are being built that are purely AI-based. So the core feature of these new companies is an AI feature. And great AI engineers, in case of these new companies, they can basically determine the whole direction, the whole success of such companies. If you have someone who's a really good AI engineer, they can build features fast, they can build features that nobody else can build. Your company will be one in a million, maybe. Just a couple of examples to show what I mean. A couple of companies, existing ones that are integrating AI into their features. Notion, I know a lot of our learners actually like this as a note-taking app. They have an AI feature where AI can summarize things, answer questions, basically make note-taking faster, more convenient. There's other companies, Revolut, for example, they have a robo-advisor assistant to invest. And this actually highlights another idea. Robo-advisor, Is it actually an AI? Is it not an AI? So what it shows is that companies really want to at least show that they're moving into this direction. And still, if they're interested in moving in this direction, they will probably want to experiment with AI to actually see if there are some really valuable directions to go into. Another example of an existing company using this, Spendesk, something I actually really like. If you ever had to use business cards, you need to use invoices, send them to accounting, make sure everything's entered correctly. They have made their whole process much more smoother just by creating an AI feature where using LLMs, they're basically determining what's in the invoice and extracting all of the information automatically. So you just send an invoice via email, AI helps to extract all of the information, saves you time, very convenient. I'm not paid to advertise them. A couple of examples how AI can be used to build completely new companies where AI is the core feature. So this is an interesting one. It's a mental health app where basically you can talk with an AI as if it was your psychologist. And then there's many features on top of that, how it can give you suggestions, summaries, goals basically for improving your mental well-being. Some other examples, Greenlight, a very interesting slogan, the trusted AI platform for financial crime. I hope it's for fighting financial crime. There's actually Greenlight automates repetitive financial compliance work, so it is for fighting financial crime, but it's basically automating things that are repetitive using AI. Another example that probably a lot of you are already familiar with, Perplexity. And this is a very interesting one because it mixes already existing AI models, so the AI engineering, but they also have some of their own AI models as well. So they go to the side of research as well, building some of the AI technologies on their own. So with all of this, to convince you even more that this is a big thing, this is trend of different types of jobs. The middle purple trend is AI jobs. And you can see there was a huge increase, and it's now reaching the machine learning rate of job postings on various websites. So existing companies really are searching for people who are capable of building these features. And also, this is a graph showing what percentage of companies in Y Combinator, one of the most well-known, prestigious AI accelerators in the world, what percentage is of the new companies accepted are AI-based companies. So more than 70% actually in the summer batch of 2024 were companies where AI was the core feature. Once again, with all of this in mind, what makes a great AI engineer? You need to be passionate for the subject, to build new things that you are actually curious about, to stay on top of what's there in the industry. You also need to connect with like-minded enthusiasts. It's also very important this way to build your cutting-edge knowledge, because you can't just get all of the information on your own. Maybe someone else is going to tell you what's actually really relevant, will help you find something relevant. And you need a product-focused mindset. So AI features are very interesting because you can't define them very simply as in traditional software. With traditional software, you have a requirement, a story by a product owner that says, okay, when this happens, this should happen. With AI, it's very often undefined, or at least a little bit random. You need to experiment. It's a bit unpredictable, and the AI engineer building these features has a lot of decisions they need to make that might not be very obvious. So you need to actually care about your product. You need to think about how the product is going to work with these AI features. So what is Turing College going to do about this? We are launching our newest program, AI Engineering, and some details about the program. So the first batch starts very soon, a little bit more than a month from now, January 13th. There's going to be full scholarships for first 20 learners. So the first batch is going to be 20 learners of scholarships only. And the admissions open today. So after this event, you can go to our website. There's going to be an admission form, and you can already apply. Talking about applying, there's something unique about this program compared to all of the other ones currently available. There is, at the moment, a requirement to have coding background. So it's either 1 year of professional coding experience or having finished one of our coding-focused programs already. So coding-focused programs would be data science, data engineering, web development, even data analytics, if you've completed the Python specialization module, basically focusing on programming as well. So we're not going to currently teach in this program what coding is. The software engineering part would expect the learners to have it already, and then you would immediately focus on the actual AI part of things. One thing that's new in this program compared to all of our other programs is that we will allow to choose between two different coding languages. So it's either Python or JavaScript. We want to make this available to as wide of an audience of developers as possible. The program is going to last 3.5 months on average. Still, like all of our programs, it's self-paced, so some people might complete it sooner, some might need a little bit more time, and it's expected to require about 10 hours of focused study time per week. Overall, the program aims to efficiently prepare top-level AI engineers to build new AI features, both in existing companies or to even found new companies focused on AI. What topics are we going to teach in this program? There's going to be 4 sprints, 1 module. First of all, we'll talk about the foundations of LLM engineering, AI engineering. So what different models you can use, what their strengths, weaknesses are, what to take into account, prompt engineering, what the AI product development lifecycle is, basically a strong foundation for all of the AI topics. You don't necessarily need to be proficient in AI topics beforehand. Next, we'll go into more advanced things. So all of the most powerful tools to build AI products with existing models. So things like the LangChain library, building retrieval augmented generation architectures, Google's Vertex AI platform, Gradio library, and many more things. Then in Sprint 3, once you know all of these things, you can start building AI agent systems. So basically merging all of this together to create systems that can build long-term complex tasks, not just a simple chatbot that answers one of your queries, but actually maybe a program that does continuous tasks over many days, basically making these products, these features capable of doing some completely new things. And finally, the 4th sprint is a capstone project. So as with all of our programs, we want to have a lot of self-directed learning. We want you to be able to choose which direction you really want to specialize eventually, build your own product, build your own feature that our experts would then evaluate. So all of these sprints, as in all of our other programs, will have content leads, senior team leads evaluating projects, giving you individualized personal feedback. Talking about feedback from experts, here's some of the people you will meet in this program. We actually will have some of these people talking here today. We have Algimantas Černauskas, PhD, Vytautas Bilinskas, PhD, both of them senior data scientists at IBM, working a lot with AI engineering topics. They're helping us build the program. Then we have Gintautas Švedas. He's currently in Silicon Valley at SAP, working as an AI engineer and also helping us with the content in this program. He'll also be doing reviews, just as all of the other content leads here. And he's basically helping us be completely up to date. What are the most newest topics in Silicon Valley, bringing them here. We also have Žygimantas Stancelis, CTO at AppMakers. Fun fact, I think quite a lot of you might have seen about a year ago, there was a viral video of Lithuanian politics in Balenciaga. Has anyone seen that video? And there was another one, the Vilnius NATO Summit AI video. Has anyone seen that one as well? So I see some nods. So both of these videos were created by Žygimantas, and he will also share a lot of knowledge how he did that and what even new things he's planning. The program supervisor, the one who's making sure that all of the content leads make everything work together, who's also going to be working a lot with the learners to collect feedback, is Fet. So many of you who's learners in the data science program already met him, and he's going to supervise this program as well. Furthermore, we also have the Google Cloud team who's helping. So this is our second program that we're partnering together with Google to make it even better. So there will be senior team leads working together with learners, both in project reviews, in open sessions, sharing their knowledge. There's also going to be parts of content created by Google Cloud, while all of the content is actually going to be at least reviewed by them as well for their thoughts. So you will be able to choose whether you want to use some of the Google platforms as well to utilize that, for example, Vertex AI, to build your tools, your products with AI. And for that, if you want to use Google tools, you will have credits for the mentioned Vertex AI platform. But once again, it's not required. It's a super nice thing that Google is doing. They're allowing you to use it if you would like. So that's almost everything. But talking about this program, there is actually going to be one more announcement. So this was just the first one. The second one is going to come in a little bit. But for now, let's go to the questions. AI is evolving really fast. How do we ensure that the program teaches skills that are constantly relevant? It's going to happen the same way as in the other programs. We have constantly teams working on updates. So, for example, we've launched very recently the AI for Business Analytics program, and we have the whole team working on that. We have the supervisor, actually here, Danielus of the AI program, who is ensuring that every week there's updates in the program. A new model launches. We add that to the content. For example, there's workshops happening about various topics in the AI for Business Analytics topic. I heard of an example where a new tool was launched, very relevant for a workshop. 20 minutes before the workshop, the mentor then immediately introduced it in the workshop, saying, look, we're now one of the first people talking about this, experimenting with this model real time. So we're going to do the same thing. Every single program in Turing College is constantly updated. It's not just created once and left in the same state.
An easy one. Is new program on site or fully remote?
It's fully remote, as all of our programs. So you can study from anywhere.
Quite an interesting question. What makes this program unique comparing to other AI engineering courses in Europe?
There's one super unique thing that we will announce today. But besides that, I think a lot of the programs right now for AI engineering, they follow the more traditional approach where you just have content, you go through it on your own, maybe do some quizzes, that's it. So those of you who are already familiar with Turing College will know that this is not how we do things. We have a lot of community-focused learning here as well. So you'll have many people you will be interacting with, both learners, your peers, and also senior team leads. So as an example, those content leads, you would be able to meet them. You will have stand-ups with them. You will have open sessions where you can consult with them. So I would say, besides many other things, I could talk about this question probably for a whole hour, but I would say the community focus is a very big difference from many other programs. And then there's this one other thing.
Okay, thank you. Do you think AI engineer role will become a part of full stack engineer, since AI is becoming such a close part of the platforms?
So many ways I think we can approach this question. AI as a supporter for software engineers, I think that's happening already. I would bet that there's only a small percentage of developers right now who are not using AI in any way, no matter what their seniority is. Whether it's going to replace, whether AI engineering is going to replace software engineering, this is actually a question for the discussion panel that we'll be having today, so I will not answer it just yet.
Yadro, what are the core challenges AI engineers face when designing and deploying AI systems?
Interesting question. Very first thing that comes to mind, and we were actually thinking about this quite a lot because we're doing some AI engineering at Turing College, as was mentioned initially with the IAC grant. I would say one of the challenges is how to determine that what you are building is not just a feature that's going to become obsolete when the next model, the next better model is going to come out. Because if you're, let's say, building architecture for better memory, most likely it's such an overarching issue that the foundational model companies are solving it already. For example, OpenAI, I would bet that they are trying to solve this already. So determining what to solve so that it creates a unique strength for you for a longer term than just half a year, I would say this is one of the quite unique but very interesting challenges in AI engineering. Another one, just to mention, staying on top of everything. I've mentioned this in the presentation, but this is definitely a challenge, I think, for everyone working with AI engineering. Like, there's new things developing every single day. So we need to balance, how do I build things and also learn things each day.
As Gedris is presenting this, fear of missing out kicks in, and we have a question. I don't see any information in the website where to sign up.
It should be launched very soon, if it's not already. I would say stay until the end of the event, refresh the website then, hard refresh.
Hard
if you-
refresh.
Yeah, clear cookies and cache if needed. But it definitely should be live today.
All right, so more technical question. Engineering in general is difficult. Do you truly believe that you can reach someone and actually learn this in 3.5 months in decent skill set?
So engineering for sure is difficult, and that's why this is a prerequisite. 1 year minimum of professional coding experience. We don't believe that it's possible to learn proper coding in just 3.5 months. That's what we said in our web development programs, in our other programs as well. But when it comes to AI engineering, the skills needed for AI engineering, 3.5 months, I'm fully confident is enough, because the whole life cycle so far of the role as an AI engineer, it's basically been around for only 2 years. So 3.5 months is like 1/8 or something like that of the whole history of the role. So it's actually quite a long time. And you actually will need to learn constantly. And this is another thing that we teach, basically, that we want to develop in our learners. Not just get the knowledge and assume that you know everything, but actually to continue learning, to gain the skills to constantly be learning. So thank you, everyone, and see you in the program.
Why did you open it? You cross. And you want to enter the room and you go to the toilet and pee. So if mommy didn't say that you should push your own decision and come home, say you won't off it. When will you learn anything I'm teaching you? I'm not teaching you good thing. Or is it bad that I'm teaching you? So what have you learned that I'm teaching you? Now you want to run. You are downstairs since you don't know you people. See, you people now. You people. What do you do? Huh? What do you do for a child?